Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast, a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today.
Welcome to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello. How's it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. I hope you had a wonderful long weekend, and the sun is shining and you're feeling good today, wherever you are in the world. I am back with some more feel-good, positive stories to share with you. And I just wanted to start with this list I found of companies and businesses that are giving away basically like free stuff and just doing some extra things for our healthcare and frontline workers right now. And yeah, so if you are a healthcare or frontline worker, definitely pay attention to this list because there's some pretty cool things that you can do. Or if you know somebody who is a healthcare worker or frontline worker, and they can take advantage of some of these awesome deals, that companies are doing just to, show their appreciation for all the hard work that they have been putting in. There's just, they're rewarding those people for being our frontline workers, our healthcare workers, and taking care of us during this crazy time. So yeah, take advantage of these. They're pretty cool. Let's start. You can plan a vacation with Qatar Airways. So they're giving away $100,000 round trip plane tickets, for any of the network destinations, to healthcare professionals for a much needed break from their life-saving work. So basically medical workers get a coupon code to use at checkout, and it's good for 2 return tickets. 35% of any purchase in Qatar Airways duty-free stores as well. And you just have to fill out a form, and then you can get, I guess the tickets are a first come, first served basis. This actually closes today. So when you should be getting this, when you should be listening to this podcast. So if you are in time listening to this, go take advantage of that and plan your trip. If you need new Crocs as a hospital worker, a lot of medical professionals are wearing Crocs because they're easy to clean shoes. They're comfortable during the long work hours. So Crocs is giving away 10,000 pairs of shoes every single day. And all you have to do is to claim your pair, is to get in this virtual line basically at 12 p.m. Eastern every single day, and you can get a free pair of Crocs. So go check that out if you can. Another pretty awesome thing is that you can get free oil changes on any car from Mazda. So participating Mazda dealers are offering free oil changes and other standard car services for America healthcare workers all the way through June 1st. So you still have some time for this one. You're not required to own a Mazda, but any other makes and models are accepted. So there is a list of participating facilities nationwide. You can check out just go to a Mazda website and they will show you the different ones that are accepting this offer. So the president, Jeff Gooten, says, "We understand the important role vehicles play in people's lives, and by partnering with our dealer network, we hope to make a meaningful impact in communities around the country." So this is this has already been happening since April 16th, and it goes to June 1st as well. So go check that out if you can. Another one is Samsung phone repair. So Samsung is offering free repairs on Samsung phones, including battery replacements, cracked screen repair, for healthcare workers. All you have to do is show your valid hospital ID, and you can be a janitor to a surgeon, it doesn't matter. If you're working at the hospital, you have a hospital ID, you can get your Samsung phone repaired. This is all the way through June 30th. So take advantage of that when you can. From HR Block, they are offering free tax prep. So HR Block is offering Tax Pro Go. So it's their expert prepared virtual tax service. It's free for all police, firefighters, emergency medical technicians, healthcare workers, all through the month of May, so it's coming to an end here, but it includes filing both federal and state tax returns for free with H&R Block's Tax Pro Go. All you need to do is upload a photo of your work ID and you can get that. So that's all the way through the month of May, so you still have some time here, so take advantage of that. Another thing is, let's see here, Lyft scooter in 6 cities. So first responders, healthcare workers, transit workers can ride Lyft scooter for 30 minutes free of charge in the cities of Austin, Los Angeles, Denver, Metro DC, and San Diego. So if you want to go ride your Lyft scooter free for 30 minutes, those are the cities that you can do that in. And this is also the month of May. You can shop at BJ's Wholesale Club without a membership. I did talk about this, I think, once on a previous episode. So BJ's requires a membership, just like Costco does. So they said in response to grocery shortages, they began to dedicate shopping hours for people in the medical industry. So that was every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. and there is no membership required for those that are shopping during that time. They're also giving away free 4-month memberships to anyone with a valid hospital or emergency service ID number. So there is no time limit on this as of right now, so go take advantage of that great deal. And there's free wax grooming for all essential workers. So all the way through July 31st, frontline workers can receive a free wax service from European Wax Center locations. Frontline heroes looking to shape up for a possible summer reopening can choose from any service other than a full leg, is the only disclaimer, on their website as a one-time complimentary service. So go check that out. That's all the way until July 31st. Healthcare, pharmacy, postal service, grocery, and emergency service members are qualified for this. Now you can nominate a hero to win. So if you know somebody who definitely deserves something amazing, that has been working very, very hard, as so many people are during this time, well, you can nominate a hero to win. So it's free AC and heating equipment. Okay, so Lennox International manufactures a premier heating and cooling systems. So they're inviting community members across US and Canada to nominate deserving homeowners to receive new heating or cooling equipment free of charge. So Lennox annual fee, it's called Feel the Love program. It expanded this year to bring some hope and support to those on the coronavirus front lines. So you can you can nominate the person at feelthelove.com, and this goes all the way through to August 31st. So you have all summer. You can nominate anyone regardless of their work, with deserving winners are selected during the beginning of autumn. So Lennox will supply new high-efficiency heating or cooling systems for selected nominees during the Feel the Love weekend, so October 8th to 11th, at no cost in U.S. and Canadian homes. So literally anyone you feel is a neighborhood hero or is deserving of some help. And then nominations go all the way through the end of August. So feelthelove.com if you have someone you want to nominate for that. And lastly, heroes fly free with JetBlue. So you can nominate a healthcare hero for a free vacation flight from JetBlue. So this is, we all know, the American airliner. They are giving away $100,000 pairs of round-trip airline tickets so that healthcare heroes can enjoy that much-needed vacation. So all you have to do is go over to the JetBlue website. You will see a section where you're able to describe somebody that you think is deserving of a free vacation. And then you can describe where they work, their actions, why you want to nominate them, why they deserve this. And then eventually there will be a nomination that is picked. vote, and they get a free vacation, all because of you, because you nominate them. So that's a pretty cool feeling. So I thought I would start today's episode with just those pretty cool things that some companies are doing to honor the hardworking people right now that are on our front lines and doing what they can to keep everybody safe during this very, very difficult time. All right, it is time for a little bit of a break, but when we get back, I have some pretty cool stories to share with you. I have a story about how hundreds of cities worldwide, they're actually making streets into cycling and pedestrian walkways, and they're planning to make it stay this way. It's a pretty interesting story. I also have some really cool ones about some anonymous donors, what people have been doing to help each other out. And then, of course, to the environmental spectrum, I also have the U.S. has approved a plan to build the nation's largest solar project in the desert by 2022. So lots of cool things coming ahead for today's episode. So don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Gas emissions are set to decline a record-breaking 8% this year, which is a huge positive impact on cities. So the World Health Organization says walking and cycling are considered the safest means of transport to reduce exposure to COVID-19. So cities around the world have been, building different cycling paths, and they're scaling up their car-free street initiatives. So now a lot of these environmentally friendly changes are going to be permanent for a lot of places. Bogota in Colombia had a head start when the virus began to spread, and they the city had an existing tradition where it closed its main roads to cars every Sunday. I love this tradition. I think that is so cool. But they decided to kind of up this program a little bit, and it says within days, Bogota opened nearly 47 miles of new temporary bike routes, adding 340 miles of paved protected paths, and converted almost 17 miles of automobile lanes to bike routes overnight. Pretty cool. Another one, for years, Paris has been a leader in the car-free streets movement, as we know. The capital city is building 650 kilometers of new, what they're saying, Corona cycleways. They said many of these will be made permanent, part of the city's larger mobility plan in the future. The city has also accelerated construction of dedicated cycle highways in response to the pandemic. So that's another one. In Italy, the city of Milan has announced that over 20 miles of newly installed cycling infrastructure will be kept in place after the quarantine has been lifted. Former New York City Transportation Commissioner Jeanette Saccone, she's actually working with the Italian city on the transition, and she says the pandemic challenges us, but it also offers a once-in-a-lifetime chance to change course and repair the damage from a century of car-focused streets. Here's another one. The city of Budapest, Hungary, has also constructed temporary cycle lanes. So they are currently due to last until September, but they have kind of signaled a preference to leave them in place. They say we are constantly monitoring the use of temporary bike lanes, and we are hoping that a good many of them could remain in place. In long term, we are working towards implementing traffic calming measures and new bike lanes so we can create a more inviting environment for cycling and walking. And then just one more point that I missed about France. So it's not just Paris that is really focusing on the walking and the cycling and making all these changes. So the country's Minister of Ecological Transition announced that a $22 million plan to support cyclists nationwide. So all French citizens will be entitled to 50 euros in free bicycle repairs, which is $55 in American. But this program also funds plans by cities to build more permanent bike racks, bike lanes, and cycling classes. So $22 million plan, that's a lot. They're going to be making a difference. So all of these initiatives, the silver lining is just trying to help the environment. And I have to say, the one very positive thing about the pandemic is the environmental benefits that we have been getting from it. And so it's pretty cool to see cities doing what they can to try to keep that up after things hopefully start to clear sooner rather than later. It says we must act decisively to protect our planet from both the coronavirus and the exponential threat of climate disruption. So speaking of France and amazing things that they have been doing, well, a nursing home in France basically completely stopped coronavirus from infecting any elderly in this care home with a 47-night sleepover. Talk about a long slumber party. Holy crap. So when coronavirus hit France pretty hard, the staff at Villanova nursing home for seniors near Lyon, they resolved that they would not allow their residents to become statistics of the coronavirus. So Valerie Martin, she runs the home in Corbas. She cares for 106 people. So when she heard that, the coronavirus was doing to elderly across Europe, she decided to take a drastic action because she wanted to protect her residents. So she said she decided to completely close the building. So she invited staff members and nurses to join her in her lockdown. So she thought it would be a 3-week quarantine, which was more than that. It turned obviously into a 47 day and nights that she said, but 12 staff members remained the entire time. Their determination paid off, and I guess Monday, May 4th, the beginning of the month, there was celebration and hugs as coronavirus tests came back negative for all 106 people. They all stayed inside and stay safe. That is a crazy long sleepover, but sure, it would be quite fun. So they decided, it was quite tough to have that, but they were so happy to all be together and stay safe, as one, basically. So it says in 2 days, we already saw people who started no longer wanting to eat, people who didn't want to get up, people said, why are you washing me? It's pointless. So, it was kind of, it was kind of negative at the beginning, but she says the spirits just rose higher and higher throughout the 47 days. There was lots of games and meals, and everyone just stayed in good spirits for the whole 47 days. And it was just a large slumber party with 106 people, plus, all the staff. She said it was about 130 people living in this lockdown, but it was extremely rewarding and extremely worth it. So, pretty cool. 47-day sleepover. I can't say I have ever done that in a room with 106 people. Now, this next story is about a pretty creative mom who really wanted to help some toddler pals. They live next door, and she wanted them to be able to play together again. So she installed a fence window. So they're neighbors. There's these toddler friends. They're so cute. I guess they're best friends. They live next door, and they always used to play together in their backyards. But due to coronavirus, of course, the isolation, you cannot play with each other no matter how old you are. So they decided to, their kids were getting quite sad. They couldn't hang out with their friends. And during this lockdown, she decided to build them it's basically like a window in their wooden fence. She says, instead of them climbing up, we decided to make them a little window so they would be able to stand there and see their friends next door. So they were able to play games and just be, in contact with their friends. Because, at a young age, they don't understand, obviously, not being able to be with your friends and to hang out. So they basically says we measured the fence, and they ordered a Perspex panel on eBay, cut into the fence panel with a circular saw, drilled some holes in each corner so they could screw some screws into it and hold it into place. And then they bought whiteboard markers so they could now draw pictures on it. And then they've just been teaching them to play games kind of through this window with their friends. So they've been having lots of fun. She says it's been definitely worth it to have this little convenient window in the fence yard. I just thought that was a pretty cool, creative thing that a mom did so that the toddlers could still play together. Now, a lot of people have been spending their isolation, quarantine, just the whole time working out at home because, of course, gyms are closed. And for all you gym rats, I know how sad that is. I'm definitely sad that the gyms are closed. And so having to find, ways to exercise at home can be quite difficult, especially because all the gym equipment has been basically sold out. Everyone has kind of hopped on that as quickly as possible, and it's just more difficult to get that gym equipment. I've heard so many stories of people going to multiple different locations trying to buy what they need, and everything is just not in stock, right? Because everyone's trying to do that. So this gym owner, pretty cool. He is very generous. He has a gym in Illinois, and he just wanted to help some of his customers meet their fitness goals during this time. His name is Drew Whitted, and he owns Be Strong Gym in Bloomington, Illinois, and he's allowed his members to sign out more than $40,000 worth of workout equipment to use at home free of charge during the state's stay-at-home order. So he said that he didn't want people to miss out on their workouts, and he's just super happy to be able to help out and bring families together. He says, now I see a whole family getting through this shelter in place, getting through this tough time, doing these workouts together, bonding together, becoming healthier and happier together as a family unit. So 80 members took him up on the offer, signing out equipment. And then he said that he did have some held back so he could hold online training sessions every single day. So he's just a small business owner, so he's been doing things online to help people with workouts, but then he's also been letting them use all this equipment. You just sign it out free of charge, and it's yours to use during this time. I wish more gyms would do this. This is pretty cool because it is difficult to get that gym equipment right now. So I thought I would share a small business just wanting to help out everybody and still complete their fitness goals during this time. All right, it is time for another break, but don't go anywhere. You know it. I have more feel-good stories to share with you, so stay tuned.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. So 400 California college graduates have been left very happy, full of joy, excited, overwhelmed with the amount of happiness that they're feeling right now because of an anonymous donor paid off so much student debt. I'm talking this anonymous donor donated more than $8 million to a nonprofit organization called Students Rising Above, SRA. And SRA is a San Francisco-based nonprofit organization that basically just helps send low-income, first-generation college students through college. They also provide them with personal guidance, mentoring, internships, career guidance, all that kind of stuff. So 100% of SRA students are from low to moderate incomes, and 62% are living below the federal poverty line. So the average SRA grad finishes school with $8,000 in debt. But this anonymous donor wiped out debt for 400 students. So it says, with student loans increasingly becoming a financial burden, SRA is grateful for the opportunity to facilitate relief to our hardworking alumni who have become highly productive members of the workforce nationwide. So that was the CRA CEO, Elizabeth Devaney. And Kimberly Armstrong is one of the students. So she owed $300,000 in law school debts. And that is just one of the CRA students who has now been freed from that financial burden thanks to this generous donation. $300,000. She says it's a shock, it's amazing, it's a relief, though really it's a weight lifted off of my shoulders. Dr. Zachary Tabb, another student, owed $160,000 in medical school debt. Also agreed that this was amazing. He says, it's life-changing. I've had debt really my entire adult life, and it's just something that everywhere you go, it follows you. It's really a generational impact. To completely unburden myself and all of them has a really amazing effect, not only on my fellow SRA scholars' lives, but on the contributions they can make to society. What a generous donation and a weight lifted off a shoulder for so many graduates. My next story now, I'm going to switch over to some environmental benefits that have been happening. So India's annual carbon emissions has fallen for the first time in 4 decades. 4 decades. Isn't that crazy? So India has a population of 1.2 billion people, and any news of renewable energy success in India is a huge cause of celebration, they say. They have not seen this type of fall in 4 decades. That is a long time. So, in this recent report, the country's CO2 emissions fell by 15% in March, 30% in April, and that could, primarily be attributed, of course, to the COVID-19 measures that were put in place. But for 12 months, the rate at which Indians were demanding more power slowed drastically. It was the March shutdowns that capped the new growth of power generation from oil, coal, and gas below zero for the first 12-month period in 30 years. So that's falling 1%. But then in March, when coal-fired power generation fell by 15%, it was also married with a 6.7% increase in use of renewable energy. So these were joined by a year-by-year fall in total coal deliveries, which is both imported and domestic, and then the first of such demand drops in 20 years. So this was despite the fact that more coal was mined in India this year than last year, indicating that the slowdown is not due to limited supply, but a milder demand for coal as energy source. So production for other fossil fuels energy sources is also following. 2019 and 2020 seeing a drop in crude oil production of 5.9% and natural gas of 5.2%. So pretty cool. That is a huge drop. Coal is becoming less and less profitable in India, and a recent energy contract auction that was used by public sector planners to encourage private energy development, investment, and production. So they secured 2,000 megawatts per hour of solar energy at a price of $34 per hour. So in contrast, oil over the same time period when the contract was awarded was costing $45 per hour. So huge drops, huge difference, many benefits, so many good things happening. But now on the U.S. side, I promised you a story about how the U.S. has approved a plan to build the nation's largest solar project in the desert by 2022. So the U.S. government has just approved this construction. It's going to be the largest solar project, and it's the 8th largest in the world. So the Department of Interior, DOI, and the Bureau of Land Management, BLM, they just announced the approval of the proposal to construct and operate a 690 MW photovoltaic solar electric generating facility in Nevada, about 30 miles northeast of Las Vegas. So U.S. Secretary of the Interior, David L. Bernhardt, he signed the record of decision for Solar Partners XI LLC to construct the estimated 1 billion Gemini solar project expected to generate enough electricity to power 260,000 homes in the Las Vegas area and potential energy markets in Southern California. So the on-site construction workforce is anticipated to average 500 to 700 construction workers. It's going to have a peak of up to 900 workers at any given time. So that supports an additional 1,100 jobs in the local community and injecting an estimated of $712.5 million into the economy in wages and total output during construction. So this project is expected to be constructed in 2 phases. The first phase of the power could come in about 2021. Federal revenues are expected to be more than $3 million annually to the U.S. Treasury. So this project is also expected to generate renewable electricity that would annually offset greenhouse emissions of about 83,000 cars. So that's 384,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. And they are including several operational stipulations to reduce the facility's impact on native vegetation and wildlife, so such as the desert tortoise, and extensive long-term monitoring will be required in order to examine additional adaptation methods that could be used to reduce potential environmental impacts. So the CEO of the Solar Energy Industries Association says, despite the challenges of the coronavirus, we're pleased to see that Nevada will soon be home to one of the biggest solar projects in the world. The solar industry is resilient, and a project like this will bring jobs and private investment to the state when we need it the most. There you have it. Pretty cool. It's going to be in the desert and so many benefits for so many people. Now, let's finish off today's episode with a story about an 11-year-old skateboarder who made history during his quarantine, and he landed the world's first 1080-degree turn. Okay, so many people, have just been chilling out during quarantine. This 11-year-old boy, his name is Guy Curry, he became the first skateboarder to ever land a 1080-degree turn on a vertical ramp. So I don't really understand skateboarding. I don't really understand this whole thing. But 11 years old and he made world history. Pretty cool. So to put this in perspective for people that don't quite understand. So this 11-year-old boy was not even born when Tony Hawk, who was 22 at the time, completed the first 900-degree turn back in 1990. So now Guy completed his first 900-degree turn at just 8 years old. And now when he's 11, he's doing the 1080 turn on this vertical ramp. So this is 2 decades after Tony Hawk's accomplishment. He was able to complete this 1080-degree feat by using his time off of from school. And he was just training, and he's just been training to do this. And he says, I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? I was like, okay, I landed it. Now I'm going to celebrate. So then he actually said that he celebrated by sharing a bowl of macaroni and cheese with his family. I thought I would leave on that note because amazing things are still happening in quarantine. 11-year-old is making history, skateboarding history. So cool. All right, that is all the stories that I have for you today. I really hope today brought you some positivity, some joy, maybe a smile or just a good outlook on the world in this crazy time. I am so grateful to be sharing these stories with you. Thank you so much for listening to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. I appreciate you being here. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, to like and follow us on social media, and leave a 5-star review. It is always so greatly appreciated, and I look forward to sharing more feel-good stories with you next time. Stay positive, stay healthy, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.